Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host. When we went to break again, I was talking with Dr. Michael Lenoir, who is a national leader in the not only in the health arena, but also a leader among leaders, former president of the National Medical Association, and on and on and on. But I want to ask you, Michael, a little bit about the coronavirus and where we are today in terms of people taking the shot. Should they take it or should they not take it? I know I got mine. I got both shots.
Well, I think there are a number of dynamics involved. I understand the appropriate skepticism of the African American community whenever anything is introduced. The Tuskegee thing looms large in our consciousness. But in Tuskegee, they didn't give you medicine. They gave you disease, but they didn't treat you. In this situation, I think this is a treatment. Now, what's different about this virus? Well, first of all, it affects so many people, and it's a lethal virus. And it's likely to change in terms of what you call variants. Variants are just mistakes the virus makes in replicating itself. But this mistake may give it a competitive advantage in attacking people. So that's one thing about it. It's different. The second thing about it is it's not been seen in the population. So there's no what we call, quote, herd immunity. Mm-hmm. For instance, for many, many years, African Americans have been skeptical about all vaccines. We are much less likely to be vaccinated from some of the 14 or 15 common diseases for which there are vaccinations. And when outbreaks occur, we're disproportionately affected. But we're able to kind of get away with that because everybody else around you was vaccinated. So you weren't likely to encounter polio or measles or mumps or rubella. But this is a virus no one has seen. And so consequently, when you when you go out and among other people, many people are not vaccinated, so you're much more likely to get this virus. And it's much more likely not just to permanently change your clinical condition, but to kill you. And so consequently, that's one thing. Secondly, there was a concern that, well, where did this come from? Well, you have to look at this virus is like trees. Trees of certain types, like juniper or pine, have the same kind of trunk. Mm-hmm. They may differ in the branches, they may look differently, but the trunk is very fundamentally the same. So if you make a vaccine toward the trunk, then you can pretty much fix it to deal with the leaves of the tree. All right, so under that scenario, we've been working on the trunk of coronaviruses for a long time. This is like 10, 15 years. SARS and other viruses that were coronaviruses, we've been looking at them for a long time. So that when it came time to tweak the vaccine to deal with the coronavirus, it wasn't as hard as if this was something we'd never seen before. So consequently, the vaccine was made more quickly. It's a different kind of technology. We don't need to get into that. But at the same time, it is protective. And it's protective not only against COVID-19, but some of the variants. And so that's one issue. I think the second issue is that if you look at the way in which you're going to have to live beyond this pandemic, don't kid yourself. You're not going to be able to go to all these venues you want to go to without showing somebody you're vaccinated.
Now, that's a good one. Proof of vaccination is probably going to be a reality.
Yeah, you and I know that, Bob. And, oh no, this is America. You just wait.
Freedom of expression, and freedom of this.
You wait, getting on a plane, going to a large religious service, going to a concert, kicking back at Yoshi's. Those days are over unless you're vaccinated.
And it makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Because why would I want to socialize with you? I've been vaccinated. You haven't. I mean, come on. Yeah, well, why would I put myself at risk?
Well, I think that, and I understand skepticism. But how much information do you need to make a decision? And I think we've been a little bit too tolerant as members of our own community with people say, I'm not going to get the vaccine because that threatens you, that threatens your family, that threatens your older relatives. And if you look at how long it took to reach herd, if you're waiting for herd immunity, you're going to be waiting you must believe in reincarnation. Because we had polio vaccine 50 years before last year, the last case of polio was diagnosed in the world.
Wow.
And so consequently, the fact that the concern you have about it being too quick, I think that concern has been mitigated. I think there are these cases now with the one-shot J&J vaccine, but the chances are 6 in a million.
Right.
But there's several things that happen with a coronavirus infection. One, you can get sick, go to the hospital, and die. And secondly, a third of all patients with a corona who have had any kind of coronavirus infection have some residual. Either there's mental situations or their hearts are involved, their lungs are involved. So having the infection and getting over it doesn't free you from the long-term consequences. So I think it's time for we are 12% of the population, 8% of the people getting the shots. So even in the most high-risk group, 65 and over, there's still 45% of the population in that group that's not vaccinated.
So the long and the short is get the vaccination. It is important. It's not only important for me personally, it's important for everybody that I know. So let's not be, shall I say, stupid about this thing. Let's get it and get it now. Put aside all those, whatever they are, excuses for not getting the virus. We're going to have to go to break, so don't touch that remote. We will be right back with All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host.